What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And Spook Realm, once again, you are number one. Got a nice little streak going. We'll see how far it goes. PSA 1, get the book. My brother's name is Kenny. The link is in the description below. The true origin story of BDP. Y'all know the drill. All the behind the scenes questions you have about Boogie Down Productions and the origin is in the book. Uh, get it. 2, please hit the like button. If you get a chance, it helps the algorithm so that we can get more like-minded people in the chat. We need more people. Big up to Tracy, who hopefully will remind us later on. And big up to the Rewind crew, who's going to check this out later on. All right. It's a little warm in here today. B-Boy Jones, and what up? Let me make this a little bit bigger so I can see. Rod Justice, what up? KP, peace and blessings on this 53rd birthday of hip hop. Yeah, man. Today in hip hop history, DJ Kool Herc threw his back to school jam on August 11th, 1973. It is the birthday of the music that we all love, my all time favorite genre, and the genre that changed my life, my family's life, hip hop. And for those that have the book would know that on August 11th, 1973, my family lived right next door to Kool Herc, in the next building actually over from Kool Herc on that fateful day. Um, that fateful day and faithful day. Um, and I just found out maybe a couple years ago that that actual flyer that's going around, that is the flyer of the back to school jam that he threw for his sister Cindy, which is credited as being the day that started hip hop. That flyer is not real. That flyer was a publicity stunt made by a clothing company, I believe, trying to push some clothes. I think that flyer was made in the 90s. So I believe the party was real, a back to school jam for Kool Herc's sister Cindy to raise money, but the flyer is fake. And I see some people be like, how you gonna say, oh, hip hop started on August 11th? It started before, after, blah, 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 blah. I believe that if it wasn't on this day, it was around that time. And Kool Herc had been throwing parties and building and building. And for the sake of documentation, you got to pick a day, man. What better day than this day, August 11th, that Herc says was the day that he threw his party? So it may or may not have been that exact day that Herc threw the party that had Kool Herc in the rec room at 1520 Sedgwick Avenue with Coca La Rock on the microphone. That's what made the party special. Was not only was it Kool Herc playing breaks, but also there was an MC on the mic. So hip hop as we know it, DJ playing music, MC on the mic, was started around that time. Now, some people say it started before then, and in Queens and Brooklyn and blah, blah, blah. I'm going with the people who was there. And just about everybody who was there, the majority of them said it was Herc, so I'm going with Herc. And he was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 3 years ago, as he should. And welcome to the birthday of hip hop. Um, and I'm happy to have witnessed just about the whole thing. Uh, Terrence Hill, KP, what's good? Miss y'all. I'll be back soon. Hey, take your time, Terrence Hill. We love you here on the channel. Anytime you have some time, just come through. Thank you for your contribution. Family members, y'all always welcome. Speaking of a family member, I hope is okay. Whatever happened to Haitian Space Program? Just thinking about him the other day. Haitian Space Program, Robbie the Danger, Fluffy Toenails. Where are these people? Um, Let me get some shout outs in. Uh, yeah, RIP to NBA Hall of Famer Gregory Nettis, five-time NBA champion and second winningest coach ever, Don Nelson. Um, and RIP to more than 200 people who passed away in an earthquake in Colombia. Yeah, these natural disasters are such a tragedy. You have no idea they're coming for the most part, or if you do, you got like 5 minutes to get out or change your whole life, and people just gone who had plans for the day, plans for the next day, gone. Yes, RIP to that tragedy out there. Um, and RIP to Don Nelson, a great player and coach. Supreme Divine, what up? Kenneth Smith, what up? Um, Reggie, 1023, what up? Rosmel, what up? Let's see. Explicit Hip Hop, what up? Napoleon, what it do? Trying to move quick, y'all. Um, Trying to move quick. Funkmaster Flex, Big Cap, The Tunnel is an underrated classic rap album. Haven't heard that album in a while. I got to go back and listen to see what was on there that was classic. Rest in peace to my man Big Cap. That was the homie. I've said many times in this channel, I spent a lot of time in the tunnel. Shout out to Big Cap. Shout out to my man Funk Flex, who I had the chance to chop it up with few months back. MK Ultra, what up? Sydney Rhodes, what up? Uh, let's see. Isaiah Winbone, what up? KP, any Run DMC stories? I got a nice one in the book. Greg Gannett says Crisscross Jump is the best performance on In Living Color. Possibly. I thought Gangstar Dwick was great. DJ Premier was doing all the scratches from the record live. Go back and watch Gangstar or In Living Color. All the scratches live. And I do believe Smooth B said, I got a Philly at home. I want to get blunted, my brother. And he had pulled out the Philly little visual aid. I was with that. There's some really nice performances on there, though. Icon Poet, thank you so much. What's up, KP? My opinion is that this isn't when hip hop started. This is when people came up with a name to call it what they were already doing. Who's they? Like I said, everybody has an opinion on when hip hop started, when, who, what, when, and nobody can really get a story down. But the majority of the people who were there credit Herc. So whoever was doing it before, whoever was doing it after, they may have been doing something similar. Whatever Cool Herc was doing in the Bronx at that time was the version that everybody saw and said, "That's it. We're doing that." Um, so my opinion is whether it was that day or another day, it was Herc. Um, And this is from the people that were there. So, there's other people that say, oh, it was Queens, and they mentioned this person's name, that person's name. Since there's no real documentation, I'm going with the majority rule. Bruce Kennedy, what up? Silk Child, what up? My man KP, what's good, bro? We are here. All y'all like, share, support a brother. You already know. Yes, you already know. Silk Child, thank you so much again for everything that you do. Kenny, do you remember Raucous record label? I thought it was a record label. Do I remember Raucous? I used to be up there getting records. Um, Robert Trowell, what up? Let me jump down. Samuel Gervais, what up? Hey, Tracy. Tracy says, hit the like, fam, please. Thank you, Tracy. Jermaine Braun, New Haven, Connecticut. PBB NYC, what up? Read One says, welcome to Jamrock. That was a big record. 49 and Nell, what up? You going to the Lyricist Lounge reunion this Friday? Jadakiss is on the card. No, I'll be here doing the live. Shout out to Jadakiss, whom I've never met. Derek Mallory, Minneapolis. Ronan Ali, what up? Says happy solo return to hip hop and my daughter and my grandmother. Wow, that's a lot of celebration going on in your household. KP, I'm older than hip hop by 1 year. I feel like it's a young man that hasn't listened to its elders. I feel like it's a young man that hasn't listened to. Yeah, I could hear that. The young guys, they have their own version of hip hop. I mean, it is what it is. Um, let's see. Moving down, moving down. B-Boy says, wow, I never knew that flyer was fake. Looks legit. It really does. They did a fantastic job making it look dirty and old and everything. That is not a real flyer. Actually, my brother Chris put me on to that. Just like 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I had no idea. Everything is a fraud, man. Is anything real? Jeez. Kenneth Smith said, turn the AC on, Kenny. Yeah, I have it on. It's just taking a minute to really kick in. Jeremiah says, I was just watching Kool Keith life story. Kool Keith has a life story. I think I'll check that out. Def Rocker says, I think it was around 75 when hip hop was formulated. Now, because the Rock Steady crew, they count their formation in 1974. So Herc and Coca La Rock were rocking in the parks in the park jams with the mic in 73. Coca La, uh, 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 Rock Steady and them, the Breakers, they were formed in 74. Bam was right behind them or right around that time too. I think by 75, it was kind of rocking already, from what I gather. Flash in 76 really took off. Lindell Henderson, KP, good evening, bro. Here are my parents with them and Big Sis. What up, family? Headed home, then I'll jump back in the chat. I'm off. Salute, salute. Daynell LaDon Freeman. Yo, KP, this Daynell LaDon Freeman. I have to and I have to. KRS new video is the message. What is the message? Yes, it's beyond fire. I just wish you were actually in the video as well. I wish I was too, considering I was there for a lot of the footage. I was right outside watching, right outside the camera range. Um, ah, FRS Fresh Mike. What's good, KP? New shirt arrived over the weekend and it's crisp. Thank you so much for getting the shirt. I have the shirt on right now. The shirt is the same as the logo right there. The link is in the description below. If you haven't already got a shirt, get a shirt. Um, Much appreciated. T Dyson, what up? Have any of your previous shows fallen on this hip hop day date, KP? Not sure. I don't think so. And I hope that everybody saw my I have a epic, not an epic fail. I have a post from 3 years ago called The Greatest Block Party of All Time. My brother threw a block party right in front of Kool Herc's building on August 11th, 2023. Everybody was there performing, had a light show, the mayor was there, the whole shit. Um, and I was so proud of him because, like I said, we used to play right in front of Herc's building every single day. And our building is right next building over, and there's a little playground in between. We was in there every day. And to grow up and see my brother throw a block party with thousands of people there, I was so proud of him. And I did a breakdown. So for those that didn't get a chance to see it, it's from 3 years ago. It's called The Greatest Block Party of All Time. Um, Speaking of that, Sidney Wilson went to the 50th anniversary uh, thrown by KRS at Cedric, a day to remember. Yes, I was there. It was absolutely a day to remember. Gregory Ness says, where's Emma? Whatever happened to her? Yeah, man. Where's Fluffy Toenails at? Yeah. That's why I always say I hope everybody is well and healthy and fine. Tracy says, I hope all is well with our fam. Dre Stack Dollars. Dre Stack Dollars seems to come in and out. I'm not worried about Dre Stack Dollars yet. Dre Stack Dollars, we need you in a little roll call. Donald McCall, but Herc didn't name the culture until Keith Cowboy, my favorite Furious Five member, and a person who came up with so many things. I believe he was Flash's first MC, so he was the Furious One. Rest in peace to him. So many of the sayings that we say today, he came up with. Says Keith Cowboy Wiggins coined the term when they threw a going away party for a friend who was going to the army. Yeah, Herc didn't name the name hip hop. It wasn't called hip hop in 73. But what he was doing was hip hop. Um, and hip hop evolved. Different pioneers came in and threw their piece in. Cowboy, um, Flash, of course. Bam is the one that organized all of the crews and everybody under one umbrella. Few people, Rocksteady came in and kind of organized the breaking. Like a few people came in and added their pieces. It was not called hip hop, but what he was doing is what would later become hip hop as we know it. Justice says, Kenny, we need a Where Are They Now for the Missing in Action Kenny Parker Show crew. I agree. Uh, Shout out to Just Ice Going Way Back, a song with the most shout outs ever in a rap song. Yeah, it could be. I thought South Bronx had a lot of shout outs. Uh, Going Way Back has a lot of shout outs. What's the song Buster did? New York, whatever it was, a New York anthem about 10 years ago. It had a lot of shout outs in it. I can't remember the name of it. Oh, man. I can think of the beat and everything. Scratch did the beat. Um, what kind of errands did you run when you were a production assistant on the road? Any unusual requests? For those that have the book, know that I started in BDP as a production assistant under the legendary Rebecca Foster, who manages D Nice right now. Um, and my day to day, I didn't have any unusual requests. I had to First, I had to help set up the show. There was the Ghetto Music Tour. We had a big giant banner that was like 2 stories high and like across the whole stage. I had to help put that up. Then we had a backdrop in front of that for the DJ. I had to put that up, set up all the DJ equipment, get water, towels, everything ready for the stage. And then I had a camcorder and I would film the shows. Then after that, I would have to break down everything and put it onto the tour bus at the bottom. And after that was done, so I'd be at sound check from like 3 o'clock, and my day wouldn't end till like 10, 11 at night. Then I had to be the first one up in the morning to come by with the carts to get everybody's bags and stuff and load them onto the bus before we left. We had a bunch of people on the road. We had managers, security. Who's on the Ghetto Music tour with it? Willie D. D Nice had just leaving. It was Willie D, KRS, Miss Melody, Harmony. We had a chef with us named Slew. Security, Ron, manager. We had a manager with us, Dave. That's 7. And some other people. It was like 10 or 12 people with us. And I had to get everybody's stuff and put it on a bus. When we get to the next city, I had to unload all of the stuff. We didn't really have any unusual people that had a lot of wild requests when I was um, the production assistant. And then the tour ended, and like a month later, I was the DJ. Get the book, y'all. Y'all see how crazy everything turned out. Rasul Hassan, this is a great, great, great question. This is you're gonna make me pull out my damn rant. I haven't done a rant in a long time, Rasul, and you might be baiting me right now. Kenny, with you being in the record business, knowing all the shady practices, how would you run a record company? Man, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. Because I hate them all. First of all, it's a business. So the goal of the record company is to make as most money as possible. I think I would give artists more flexibility to renegotiate. That's what I would do differently. I think you sign a record deal, and if you reach a certain number of sales and or you recoup early, I would give you the opportunity to renegotiate for maybe a raise. Record companies now, it don't matter if you sell one record or 100 billion records, your contract stays the same for 7 albums. Um, That's something I would definitely do differently. Now, you'd have to meet certain standards. Everybody can't just come in my office after their first album and be like, I want to renegotiate. That's not it. But there has to be some way for the artist to get more involved. Um, I don't think I would make a 360 deal, although a 360 deal means that the record company gets 50% of everything that you do, even outside of music. Like if you become an actor, they want half of that. The music business took such a hit and the money got reduced so much that they started digging into the artist's other royalty streams. I don't think I would do that. If you want to go off and be an actor or whatever, that's on you. I don't think I would take people's show money, unless we negotiate that. Um, there's probably some other things I would do. Can't think of top of my head because some things are business practice. I mean, like, I understand that they're trying to make money. And that 90-10, 95-5, it's more like 95-5 split between the record company and the artist is brutal. The only thing worse than that is pimps and hoes out on the corner. Is the only deal that's worse than a record deal. But that's record company trying to make the most money. So I don't know if you agree to that, I don't know. You know what I might have? Trading artists like sports. I'll trade you, you know, uh, this group, I don't know, the locks. I'll trade you the locks for some other group on another label. Say, no, I'll trade you, say, Naughty by Nature for Cypress Hill, something like that. That wouldn't really happen, but you know what I mean. Like if I would be able to trade with other labels, I think I would do that. Now imagine you being an artist and you wake up one morning. You was on Sony last night. You wake up this morning. You on Warner Brothers. That would be wild. But I think I would see how that works. There's probably some other things I would do. I would really like to think about that because that's really interesting. I managed to answer that without getting upset. Um, that's a great question. August 11th, 1953 is not when the term hip hop was coined, was it? No, like I said, no, it was way later, probably like 76, 77, or something like that. But it was still happening. It just wasn't called hip hop. Now, I don't know what they was calling it. The jam or whatever, block parties or whatever they were calling it was doing all of the things that hip hop was doing. It just didn't have its own unique name. Beyond the Matrix, what's up? My AC isn't really getting all the way here. I might have to cut the other one on. Ah, let me move down a little bit. How far am I behind? Already way far behind. It's hopeless, y'all. It's hopeless for me to stay um, up to date. Knicks opening game versus Sixers. Just heard. Yeah, I heard that too. I'm gonna cut this air on right here because it's getting a little worse. This air is not doing it. I don't know if y'all could hear it, but it just came blasting in. Uh, James Brown was born in 5/3/33. That's when hip hop started. No, he was a funk art, R&B and funk artist. First of all, he was born. That doesn't mean he was doing music. And there was other things going on other than James Brown that Herc was playing. Um, I wouldn't use James Brown as the beginning. I'm going with Herc, man. Did you ever rock one up, one pants down leg, Gregory? You know what? Funny written one in New York when I was coming up, that was popular in like when I was in like grammar school, which means the 70s. And you had to be a tough guy to do that. Like everybody couldn't just have one leg up. If you had one leg up, you showing your sneakers and your socks, you had one leg up, that means you was acting tough. That was almost like, I don't know, having your pants sagging off or something. It was a status symbol that meant you was a kind of a tough guy. So you had to be somebody to have your leg up. Where I was at in Brooklyn, I definitely didn't have my pants leg up because I didn't want that smoke as a kid. Um, let's see. KP, it was Kid Creole who first said, yes, yes, y'all. That's dope. A Furious Five member. Furious Five members came with a lot of stuff. I believe it was Cowboy who came with all that throw your hands in the air and say ho and all of that stuff. I believe goes back to Cowboy. He had a lot of the call and response stuff that we know now. What's your zodiac sign and all that stuff? Uh, This is a good question, Chris Morale. Kenny Parker, since us older folks have grief with today's artists, what exactly were the old school heads and established artists saying about the music and upcoming artists back when you were 20, 30 years old? I've heard stories, I'm not going to say the MC's name, but Chris told me that when they first dropped South Bronx, some of the older heads, even from the Bronx, was trying to shun them a little bit, like, who are you new guys coming out talking about the Bronx? Who are you? And this is in 86. Um, I've documented on this channel and in my book about Melly Mel's uh Melly Mel's attitude towards KRS-One and Scott LaRock was not good. Um, there were a few that looked down on them as new guys. So everybody wasn't jumping up and down. The old heads, meaning the pioneers and the that first run, the Flashes and the Treacherous Three and the Cold Crush, Funky Four, Sugar Hill, that gang, that run. Them guys weren't just jumping up and down. For us, some were. Like Bam was very open, welcome Zulu Nation, welcome BDP with open arms. But some other people weren't. I think that's just how it goes, man. Um, yeah, I'm not gonna say a legendary. Chris told me a legendary artist when he saw him when South Bronx was out. The dude looked at him and just walked right past him with like an attitude. And later on, and I heard that this same group tried to sabotage the South Bronx when it was about to come out at the pressing plants and everything. Later apologized to Chris years later. But yeah, everybody wasn't jumping up and down. Dean, as he said, KP Black Spade members say Disco King Mario was the one Bambada, who played Bambada on He Made Him a Star till he broke off and did his own thing. Yeah, a lot of people mention Disco King Mario, but even Bam says Herc was the guy. Bam says Herc was the guy. Flash says Herc was the guy, and Bam. Flash said he was watching Herc and watching Bam, and then he decided to do some more innovations to DJing, and he became the DJ as we know it today. The tricks and stuff that Flash came with is DJing as we know it today, but he was watching Bam and Herc, and Bam said he watched Herc. That's what I'm saying. These guys are all going back to Herc, so I don't know what Disco King Mario did. I don't know. People could argue back and forth. Plus, a lot of it is hatred for certain people or dislike for certain. I'm not gonna say hatred, dislike for certain people, so they're changing the narrative. I see a lot of that going on, rewriting history and all of this stuff. And this guy wasn't foundational Black American, so he couldn't have done anything great and all that stupidness. Um, I don't know. I don't uh, follow any of that stuff. I don't care who you are. If you did something dope, you did something dope. But a lot of that I see comes from that. I remember when Rocksteady had beef with Herc for a minute, and they decided, you know what? Hip hop didn't start in '73, it started in '74 with Rocksteady. And they just came with that. That was their new policy. And then they made up with Herc. Then they said, okay, it's back to being '73 again. I'm like, I say this all the time on this channel. Y'all, I wish y'all could get in the room with some of these old school guys together and see how they act. Y'all would have a whole different opinion, man. Not disrespecting nobody, but yeah, I am. The way they all act when they're together, man, a lot of them guys are really bitter. Yeah, Philly She, New York shit. DJ Scratch did the track, even though people Swiss Beats did it, thought Swiss Beats did it because he was talking all over. The beat was fire. Yeah. Thank you. I'm on my New York shit. That record has a lot of shout outs. See, we're gonna get into this whole thing down on the call about Kenny. No disrespect to Kool Herc, but what he did, but other DJs were out before him. There was a bunch of people out before him, not a bunch. They were doing different things. But what Herc did, the combination of that sound system, the breaks that he was playing, mixed with an MC on the mic, that combination is what people saying was what made him special. And that combination is what became hip hop. Whatever else, whatever everybody else was doing, they could have been doing other stuff, but that's not what everybody was copying. And I say that all the time. When we talk about changing the game, it's not who did it first. It's who did it and influenced everybody else. Somebody else could have done something and it didn't catch on. And then somebody else over here did it and they caught on over there. Sure, there were other DJs before him playing disco records or whatever, but Hurt playing them breaks, I haven't heard anybody saying people was doing what he was doing before him. And once again, I'm following Bam and Flash and Kaz and these guys that were there. So everybody else with opinion, hey man, I don't know. We can go all around and around and around. But at some point, you have to decide. I think with the 50th year of hip hop, you had to make a decision. Who are we giving the credit to? What day? Let's make a decision. And they got together and they came up with this day. I'm rocking with it. Riding Dirty Face, what up? Um, CMC in the place to be, what it do? see. Kwame and the Artifacts trade for Beat Nuts and Special Ed. That's a great trade, even though they're a little bit different eras. Special Ed and Kwame is a good trade. They were together, and Beat Nuts and Artifacts are kind of together. I like that trade. Sidney Rhodes, I like that. Oh shit, Breakbeat Lou is in the building. Says hip hop term did not come to official labeling until 82. Before that, it was called a jam. 82, Lou? Because I know them guys were saying hip, hop, the hip, the hop, then and don't. They were saying all that and you don't stop before that, right? The legendary Breakbeat Lou is in the building, y'all. Man, that needs no introduction. Um, 82. That seems a little late to me. DJ Q Storm, what up? Icon Port. I couldn't be in the music business because I don't care how much money I could make. If I don't like your music, I won't sign you. Yeah, you couldn't be in the business. Shareholders would run you right up out of there. KP, Lovebug Starsky and Keith Cowboy both coined the phrase hip hop. I've heard one or the other. This is in the 70s. That's what I'm saying. Breakbeat Lou, you said 82. Oh. They did this in the 70s. Shout out to Lovebug Starsky, whom I've had the pleasure of having a conversation with before he passed. KP, the film industry is a multi-billion-dollar business. Absolutely, it is. Disney is a multi-billion-dollar business. Rid One says KP had both pants leg up, pretty much. Oh man, one pants leg up is from the Masons. Word? I know. I see LL do that. When I was a kid, when I was a kid, I didn't know nothing about Masons. I just know that if you roll your leg up, somebody will step into you. People was a KP. I was saying in jest about James Brown. I think as he famously claimed he invented hip hop, which is, as you said, very debatable. He invented pretty much the sound. I wouldn't even say he invented the sound, but when sampling came around, he definitely was the guy. His records were among the records. Breakbeat Lou would probably could answer that better than I can. But Apache was in there. You know, it's just begun. Dance to the Drummer's Beat. These kind of records. Love is the Message. Melly Mel comes off like a natural born hater. Yes. Melly Mel's attitude towards Run DMC wasn't good either. I mean, I don't want to beat up on Melly Mel here on this channel. I've said things in the past, but from what I've seen of him, I mean, everyone seems to have the same opinion. Henry Still says, wow, on the West Coast, we didn't know that. One leg had a meaning like that, and they didn't know that when you saw B-boys with a certain stance style also had a meaning position in the number 7. Oh. Also, one leg up was also for bike riding, too. when you rode your bike, if you had your pants, which were flare legs, dangling, it would get caught in the chain. So I could see people rolling up one leg so they could ride their bike, but still, one leg up, it was dangerous around my way. But a lot of things are dangerous around my way. Return of the Brother Flash and Bam are Caribbean, as was Herc. So what else would they say? Yeah, well, a lot of people aren't happy with that. Patrick Y, what up? Mario was a disco DJ, later got into hip hop. Yeah. Cowboy never got the term hip hop trademarked. None of them guys back then, they were actually inventing in real time. They had no idea what this was going to turn into. They were just guys that had nothing and made something out of nothing and made it up as they went along. Whoever invented throw your hands in the air and wave them like you just don't care. If they got 1 quarter for every artist that said that in a show, if you patented that phrase and just got 1 quarter, you'd be rich. Everyone says that. Henry Dillon, the young generation of black spades who were around in the 60s have a different story of the beginning of hip hop and breakdance. And of course they do. Rid One says, tough skins. Yo, Rid One. I got a story about tough skins, an epic fail. Yo, Rid One. Real quick, for those that have the book, you know that I don't want to give too much away, but you know that our childhood was brutal, straight brutality. And I remember one beating in particular, a bad one that I got because I used to get holes in the knees of my pants all the time because we used to be down on our knees playing skelly. Y'all guys know what skelly is when you shoot your tops. They drew like a little board on the ground from 1 to 12, and then you had to go get in each box 1 to 12, and then go backwards from 12 down to 1, something like that. And I was, first of all, I was the best skelly player in history. I just want you guys to know that. But I used to play a lot of skelly and get holes in my knees and my pants, and my mother, my parents were very mad over that. And Sears and Roebuck came out with these jeans called Tough Skins. Your kid cannot get ripped these Tough Skins. They were so tough and no kid could destroy them. They had a whole commercial about how tough these were. And my mother went and bought me a pair of Tough Skins. And she said, don't get a hole in these. It ain't take me but like 2 weeks to get a hole in the knee of these Tough Skins. Now, when I came in the house with that hole in my knee, man, I think I'm just gonna say a little prayer for the young Kenny Parker that day, for what happened that day. But I wish I could have sued Tough Skins for false advertising. Because the way they made it seem like no kid could destroy these pants, I destroyed them. I wish my body was made of tough skin material after that. But I remember that. Wow, you just brought up a crazy memory. Tough Skins from Sears, a Jip. Is there any record of 1973 hip hop Or are people just trying to put a date on something that no one really kept track of? Well, I don't know how you really kept track of it. Um, I think it's a matter of word of mouth. For people that were there, you keep asking the same people what was going on, and they keep coming around with basically the same story. It was Herc. So then you go to Herc and say, "Yo, Herc, when did you start doing these parties with, you and Coca Rock and the whole thing?" And he was like, "Summer of '73." And one of the main parties we did was this back to school jam for his sister. I think he was saying basically like it's all fuzzy because they was doing a lot of parties, but that is one in particular that he remembers as being one of the early parties. So they said, okay, let's make that the day. I don't know if there's any record of it. There's not a record of hardly anything that happened back in the '70s. There's not that much records of stuff that happened in the '80s when hip hop was rocking. I know for a fact that if you scan all of YouTube, all of the tapes and everything that you could find on Boogie Down Productions in the time that I was around, you might have 10% of what happened, maybe 15% of all the stuff that was going on in my time, and even when I was just around. So if that's just my group in the '80s, imagine the '70s. If it wasn't for those tapes going around, we wouldn't know nothing. And I think the '80s we probably got 25 or 30% of what happened in hip hop. And I think the '90s we probably got like 50, 60% of what happened, 70%. And then in the 2000s, it got more. As the medium caught up to real time, we got more documentation. But back in the day, I talk about this club called Union Square all the time, right? In '86, that was Union Square and Latin Quarter were the premier hip hop clubs in New York City, which was the capital of hip hop. There is hardly no documentation of Union Square. I think Red Alert might have some cassettes. There's almost nothing out there about it. And the only footage of that place is the Bridges Over video. It was shot in Union Square. If you want to know what Union Square looked like, go watch the Bridges Over video. Outside of that, there's no pictures, there's nothing. And I'm telling you, that place was rocking, y'all. Red Alert was on the wheels, everybody was there. So to say, is there any record of something in '73? Nah. MMA says we can't even agree on a date. Exactly. That's why you got to pick a day and go with it, man. April 11th. Hurt did not create the break. James Brown was the man who created breakbeat music, which was his funk and hip hop. You cannot find it before James Brown. No, I didn't say Hurt created the break. I said Hurt created playing the breaks. Well, he's credited as playing the breaks only. Hurt would play a break, and then he would play another break, and then he would play another break where everybody else was playing the whole record in its entirety. Herc was getting right to the point, playing the part that everybody wanted to hear. And that was his trademark. Was somebody doing it before him? Maybe. But he's the guy that everybody remembers doing it, and they copied from him. And these breaks were like James Brown and all that. So I'm not saying Herc created the break. I'm saying he created playing the break outside in the park, which is the backbone of hip hop. Many people don't know Ken Swift of Rocksteady Crew is Greek. Kick that FBA stuff to the curb. Yeah, well, there's a lot of people who are swearing by it, man, because they feel like this hip hop is being taken away from black people, and it's history is going to be rewritten where black people didn't create hip hop. I don't even know if that's possible to do, but maybe. So that's where the sentiment is coming from. But this foundational black, that's just another way of separating all of us, man. Trey Gonzalez, I'm late, but what is your take on Rakim's new joint? Sounds like classic Rakim to me. I love the fact that it's just him, and I'm interested to see what his album is gonna sound like. Classic Rakim. Demar Sudi, greetings, Breakbeat Lou. Absolutely. Um, The Bobby W says the term hip hop came out in '78, coined by Keith Cowboy Wiggins, a member of the Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. DJ Green Hornet, what up? I need ultimate breaks and beats. Chris had all 25. I believe Break was 25 of them. Chris had all 25 of them, and some of them he had like 3 or 4 of them. Everybody in the 80s sampled from that. Hip hop would not be hip hop as we know it without ultimate breaks and beats. We can say that with confidence. Breakbeat Lou, you should be in some Hall of Fame of something. Here we go, y'all. Here we go, y'all. Kenny, that all started with Jamaican Americans claiming that Black Americans didn't have a culture until Jamaicans brought them a culture when they migrated here. Foundation Black Americans had to debunk that myth. Now that's ridiculous too. I've never heard anyone say that. If a Jamaican say that Black Americans had no culture till they came, that's ridiculous too. But to me, this is all divisiveness. It's all of these little things that keep us fighting amongst each other. That is if I've never heard that statement, but if that is a statement, that is ridiculous. B-Boy Jones, and with our is it your the classic Ultimate Breaks and Beats collection, I probably wouldn't be a DJ. So thank you, Breakbeat Lou. I learned how to DJ cutting up Impeach the President. Everybody, not everybody, but a lot of the DJs from that era, I became a DJ late in the 80s, late 80s, like 89. And that was the record. You had to learn how to cut up Impeach the President back and forth before it goes, ladies and gentlemen. If it gets to ladies and gentlemen and you're too slow. Um, let's see. Uh Right. Seriously, Kenny was doing the WAP with one pants leg up. First of all, one pants leg up is like 10 years before the WAP. But I've never done the WAP. I'm not a dancer, none of that. But I was in the club. You had to be in Union Square, bro. Latin Quarters when Eric B for president came on. And as soon as you heard dun 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 dun, 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 the whole club started doing the WAP. That WAP goes with Eric B is president. That is synonymous. Everybody in the whole club doing the same dance. I was there, but I wasn't doing the WAP. Nah, dude. Willie D already beat up on Melly Mel. Yeah, in that boxing thing. First two people I seen doing that one leg up thing was Guru and LL. Yeah, I can hear that. Um, did Melly Mel really battle KRS? Get the book. And I have a whole breakdown on this channel if you don't want to get the book. It's called KRS versus Melly Mel. It's on this channel. I did it like 3 years ago. Who trademarked the term hip hop then? I don't know if the term hip hop is trademarked, but anything that has to do with the culture, corporations have the rights to all of it. It's a sad shame. They literally bought up our whole culture for pennies on the dollar and made billions. I feel a rant coming on, y'all. I'm gonna push it back down. KP Melly Mel saying Run DMC invented gangster rap because they would have wore streetwear. What an effing hater he is. Gangster rap as we know it, I wouldn't attribute that to Run DMC, but I don't know. KP, you ever heard of Grandmaster Flowers, another early hip hop pioneer? Yes, I have. Um, Donovan Kenny, both Melly Mel collaborated with Shaka Khan. I feel for you. Then Bambaataa and James Brown did Peace, Unity, Love, and Every Fun. You know what's funny about that? I was just watching something yesterday with Shaka Khan. They was talking about the making of I Feel for You. And Shaka sung the song originally, a Prince record, to a different beat, and she didn't like it. And it was this white guy. He was a producer. I forgot who he was working with. It was a big time R&B producer, a straight white guy. He said, I'm gonna hook this record up. Just let me do it. And he was the one who suggested putting Melly Mel in the record. A straight white dude said this would be dope and threw it in. Shaka said she wasn't with hip hop at all. This guy threw Melly Mel in there, and they said he had Melly Mel's voice in the sampler and accidentally was going Shaka Khan, and his hand slipped, and then went Shaka Khan, Shaka Khan, like that. And Shaka said she hated it. She said when she first heard the record and she heard her voice, she heard her name like 20 times, she was embarrassed. She thought it was gonna be whack. But this white dude, I can't remember his name, he's the one that put Stevie Wonder's harmonica. He brought Stevie in. He hooked that record up crazy. He had a lot of like scratches and like effects in it and made it a #1 record, one of the biggest records of her career. So it was not Shaka. I always thought Shaka was down with hip hop from the beginning. Shaka's always respected hip hop, but I thought, because that's a pioneering record for rap, a rapper to appear on a hip hop record. That's probably the first. A rapper to appear on an R&B record. I mean, Malcolm McLaren had it rapper on a pop record, but shout out to Malcolm McLaren. But yeah, it's funny that you mentioned. I was just looking at that. For you, you guys know I love the making of things, making of songs. Divine Existence. Skelly is a New York City game. It didn't really catch on nationally. Really? I was the best to ever do it. How do you and KRS get down with Bumpy Knuckles? On this channel, I have a Bumpy Knuckles interview. We talked for about 2 hours last year. Bumpy was so gracious to come on this channel and talk. He goes through the whole thing, how he met Chris, how he met Rakim, how he got on. We went through the whole thing on this channel. It's a live interview. I haven't done an interview in a minute. Bumpy Knuckles is on there. Rock Justice said, I had a friend who wore toughskins, and as a kid, I didn't understand what it meant to wear toughskins. They were unbeatable, unrippable. Toughskins had reinforced knees, like a built-in patch used to rock them. Yeah, they had reinforced knees. They were thick, and they had a reinforced knees, and I destroyed them in 2 weeks. They never seen Kenny Parker before. They should have let me put it through the test. KP Skelly, it was 1-8. Remember, he had a killer be a killer in Skelly. Yeah, it was 1-8. I thought it was 1-12. 1, 2, 3, maybe in whatever was in the circles in the center, that was the 8. Then you had to go backwards. Maybe it was 1-8. I learned to play Skelly in Vanderveer Projects. For those from Brooklyn, know what I'm talking about. I was in Vanderveer playing Skelly. What? Scary times, y'all. Those that got the book know what I'm talking about. Anybody here from Flatbush? Let's see. Kenny, one of the greatest b-boy anthems back in Trans Europe, back in I guess in the day was Trans Europe Express by Kraftwerk. That record revolutionized all of music. That was one of the first electronic songs to make it really big. Maybe Donna Summer's "Love to Love You, Baby" was, I believe, electronic record that was revolutionary at the time. But Trans Europe Express was another one that changed the game. That record was so banging. And then that was the basis for Planet Rock. How far behind am I? Not too bad. Robert Trower says, it's true. I was in Union Square. Where? You was in the square? It's crazy. Rod Justice says, it's strange when you consider that many of us participating in this show are older than hip hop, yet we believe less of what we're told about hip hop than we do about the Bible. Facts. Because we were old enough to been around, but we were kids though. But there are people disputing it. Like I guess if you was around when the Bible was written, there were probably people disputing the Bible. I was there. I was a 13th disciple. I knew Joseph. That's not what happened. It probably was a whole bunch of that got lost over the years. Me and Paul used to hang out. That's not what happened. I guarantee you all of that was going on back in the day. We just didn't get to hear it. Did you ever rock Wallaby shoes? Oh, you said at Gregory. Oh, because I definitely had some. Definitely had some. Black people didn't get the money from hip hop overall. Black people didn't get the money for no music overall. First of all, no artist got the money for music. All record label heads got the money. But the saddest part of hip hop and rap music is that the first label was a black owned and jerked everybody. Our own parents jerked us first. Before the white man got a chance to jerk us, we jerked us first. Sugar Hill could have changed the game for everybody. Poetic, do you think black people have a culture? Absolutely. That's a loaded question. We would have to get real deep into it, but absolutely we have a culture. Dating back to the motherland, we do. Tybalt, stop dissing black Americans. That's what FBA is not. You don't say calling yourself Jamaican or Puerto Rican as separatists. Stop the cap. What are you talking about? Are you talking about me dissing black Americans? I'm a black American, or I thought I was up until a couple years ago. And I found out I wasn't, but I've lived most of my life believing I was. I think all of these labels is what separates us. You can be from Jamaica, you could be from Puerto Rico, you could be from Paris, you could be from Afghanistan. We are human beings on this planet with all the same problems. We breathe the same air, we drink water. We are humans. A small percentage of humans took control and divided us up into little pieces so they could do whatever they want. What's the difference between me and a Jamaican? You were born over there, I was born over here. That's it. That's how I look at it. I'm a human being. Where was I born? In America, Brooklyn. I don't diss anybody, but all of this separation, I'm this, I'm that, and I'm this, and I don't like anybody else that's not part of my crew. To me, that's small, man. That's small thinking. We could agree to disagree. Yeah, Aaron, hip hop is love. Let's stop the race separation. That's where I'm from. That was the purpose. Peace, unity, love, and having fun. That was the purpose. First of all, I don't even at this point, I don't even really care what people, you could call me whatever you want to call me. I don't even care what grouping people want to put me in. My mentality is so above grouping. There's a video here on YouTube of Buster saying that. And when he was confronted, he doubled down on what he said. I have not seen that video. I love Buster Rhymes. But if that's his statement, I I strongly disagree with we had no culture until Jamaica came. I don't even understand that. He couldn't possibly believe that. I don't. Jack Swagger said it'd be interesting finding out how many copies of Ultimate Breaks and Beats were sold. I know almost every DJ and producer used to have a copy of those volumes, multiple copies. BDP probably had 60 or 70 of them. Um, you did the WAP on the B Fat song. Yeah, I never liked that record. I think Teddy Riley did that beat, right? I didn't care for the WAP. But here's the thing. I felt like First of all, the WAP, I feel like came after Eric B as president came out. And the WAP was so popular that he made a song about it. I don't think B-Fat's song came first and then the WAP blew up because of his song. I think he made the song because the WAP was popular, to me. But I was new to the clubs back then, so I could be wrong. Uh, um, Napoleon says the foundational backup FBA diehards seem like folks that's being used by people that are in high places who are intent on dividing us. Why we always forfeit for it? That's how I see it. They're adamant. I mean, respect to FBA, it's our way or the highway. I don't know about that, but I can't believe that Buster would say something like that. I cannot believe that. I'm going to say that's not true. I'm going to go out on a limb right now and say that Buster didn't say that. How about that? KP, I wonder why you and your brother never mentioned Cool Keith. Are you new to the channel? Even though he's a legend who was down with said G. Well, if you've been on this channel over the years, I've mentioned Cool Keith plenty of times. Matter of fact, I used to see Cool Keith all the time in the club. I saw Cool Keith a couple years ago, took a picture of him. Now I might post it now. We took pictures together. People forget that a lot of black hated hip hop for years. Facts. Patrick White, KP, the fact are most black Americans, I wouldn't say most, I would say many. Black Americans don't want to give credit to a Jamaican for being the foundation of an American music genre. I don't have anything against Jamaicans. To me, they just like cousins. I just don't see it. I could be wrong, but I almost look at it like, who cares? Because even if Herc is Jamaican and he is credited with the foundation of it, where black people took it is so undeniable that hip hop is not even the same thing as it was when Herc first invented from where black people took it. So the contributions are so massive, and Herc was borrowing pieces from black music. He's borrowing pieces. Everybody borrows pieces from everybody. What he was doing wasn't native to Jamaica. He was doing something that black people was doing, DJs, playing disco music, James Brown. He was doing all the stuff that black people do. He just happened to be a Jamaican dude doing it. Cares. I personally don't care. I'm going to get a lot of flack. People are going to come in my comment section. Before you even come in the comment section, know that I don't care. So you can write whatever you want. I don't care. Whoever did whatever, I wasn't there. I was there actually, but I was a kid. But whoever did what, thank you. Thank you to all the breakers. Thank you to the graffiti artists. Thank you to the rappers. Thank you to the DJs. Everybody who did their piece. everybody who carried crates, everybody who plugged the plugs into their house, the extension cord to let it come all the way outside, everybody who did anything, anybody who was security to make sure nobody didn't steal the records, all of that. Thank you for help making this culture that we love. I don't know you. You might not even be alive, but the Kenny Parker Show loves you. Um, Silk Child, thank you so much. Says, yeah, okay, Buster did say it. I saw that one. I'm fighting. I'm gonna have to say I had to see it with my own two eyes. I gotta look this up. Because that doesn't even make sense. Like, what were black people before Jamaicans really came on the scene heavy in like what? The early 70s, late 60s. So up until that time, black people been here 400 years. What were we doing? That's insanity to me. You can't come here, take a James Brown record and play it, and then say black people had no culture. And you're playing the black music. I, I don't even. He didn't say so, child. I think you were mistaken. Oh my God. Drop a DJ KP and Cool Keith collab, please. I would love to work with Cool Keith. That'd be dope. I wish I could. I'm a little behind. Let me jump down, y'all. Shaka didn't like Kanye's Through the Wire because of how her vocal sample was sped up. Yeah, I saw that. She hated that. She absolutely despised what they did with her vocals. My question I would have asked her is if Kanye had called you to sing it, would you have sung it? She probably would have, because she made records with De La Soul. She made record with Guru. He probably was better off calling her to come sing it. That probably would have been crazy. Her actually singing Through the Wire. I heard it got a Grammy and Mel didn't get one. That would be whack. If I Feel For You got a Grammy, which it did. If Mel didn't get a Grammy, that's whack. Patrick Watson, I always say the pioneers that are still alive and are in the mid to late 60s and early 70s need to have a roundtable discussion what they remember from their own recollection. You don't want that smoke, Patrick Watson. I'm telling you, when they all get together, it is not pretty. In theory, what you said would be dope. I've been in a few rooms with all of them together. You'd be shocked. KP, did you ever hear of Divine Sounds? Absolutely. What people do for money. And they had the other one before that. Is that Bed-Stuy? Do or Die? I was living in Bed-Stuy whenever. Is that Divine Sounds? Do or Die Bed-Stuy. Yeah. Mm, let's see. Blowfly was rapping on records in 71. I've heard that, but it's not rap as we know it today. The New Testament was written 70 years after Jesus died. Tybo says you can't prove the Bible neither. Oh, we getting way out in the deep water now, y'all. KRS was rocking Black Wally Clark's in the Duck Down video. KRS was rocking Wallabies on the cover of Ghetto Music, 1989. I know that Ghostface really pioneered the Wallabies, and he gets a lot of credit for that. But BDP, we was rocking Wallabies. KRS had them on. I had them since the 83, 84. I got my first pair, 84. But Chris had them on the cover um, in 89. D8, let me see if I get your name right. Is it DB? I can't see it clear. DBX? I don't want to butcher your name. Sorry, but thank you. Turntable need electric, Ben Franklin foundational. Ben Franklin is the foundation of all of it. Oh my goodness. Any crazy Jamaican stories? Get the book. I am a Black American and I don't subscribe to the FBA cult. It's just another form of identity crisis. KP ain't a Black American FBA though. Being born here does not make you us. Exactly. That's some other shit. Born and raised in New York, but somehow I'm outside look I'm on the outside looking in. Y'all ain't start saying that until Black Americans started saying FBA instead of saying African American. We start saying what? When I hear FBA rants, I always want to ask, okay, how do you organize the community towards liberation based on your FBA theories? This whole subject to me is just, I don't know. I'm not the guy to I'm not the guy to debate it because I don't even understand it. So Humor says, you're right. BFAT's caught the WAP phase late. That's how I saw it. You did the WAP to Super Lover C and Casanova Run. I thought you did the James. Do the James Brown with the shoulders. That was another dance that was big. That was big in the Latin quarters. The James Brown. Ansel Candy said, Buster said it. Y'all not gonna let me deny this, huh? It's just it sounds so crazy that I can't accept it. That's what it is, y'all. Uh, Ross Mel says, Kenny, if I'm lying, then I'm flying. Buster definitely said that. When this live ends, look it up for yourself. And I'm always down for sharing information on this channel and fact checking. So I'm down with all of that. I think I just want to be ignorant right now because I can't believe that. And Buster's my man. I just can't believe that anyone would say that. I can't. That's why I'm in denial. Yo, wow, it's 9:30 already. What happened? We're in overtime, y'all. Those that's new to the channel, anything after 9:30 is considered OT. This is the Kenny Parker Show. We do this every Tuesday and Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please hit the like button if you get a chance. And big up to the Rewind crew who's going to check this out later on. And happy birthday to what we have decided on is the birthday of hip hop. What many have decided. Now more than ever, black folk around the world need each other. Black Americans, yeah, for real, man. Now more than ever. Now more than ever, man. Not since the 60s and 50s have we needed each other more. Either way, Kool Herc is a black man. The self-separating is crazy, KP. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Tyro seems to be, why is it who cares when FBA say something? That's what I don't understand. And y'all be so adamant about where y'all roots are from. You can have your roots anywhere you want them to be from. I'm saying, I'm not saying I don't care when FBA says something. I'm saying I don't care about the feedback that I'm gonna get by saying I think everybody is human first. And we got real problems in this world, bigger than you're born here and you're born there. So I don't really care if y'all gonna come at me. I'm saying if you're gonna come at me and this, you're welcome to. It's not gonna change my opinion. But your opinion is you're proud of where you come from, as you should be. As you should be. But this thing about like it's almost like a royal bloodline. Like if I'm not with bloodlines. I don't believe in kings and queens and you're great just because your father was great and he's great because his grandfather was great and you have a royal bloodline that we could trace back to whoever and that makes me over somebody else. I'm royal and you're not. That's what FBA sounds like to me. I have some bloodline dating back to the slave ships, and your bloodline is not like mine, so you're not like me. I don't care. Sorry. We're deep in this subject now, too. I really didn't even want to go here, but Kenny Parker, where I understand it, Herc took the Jamaican sound system concept and applied it to African American music. Yes. Let's not act like black music didn't exist before Herc applied that concept. Yeah. There's a collaboration of different things. What's wrong with that? Kenny, since our ancestors arrived here from Africa, we created all type of genres from Negro spiritual hip hop. Absolutely. All of it. Wow, Corey Flesh says, Kenny, for 400 years, blacks in America were waiting for Jamaicans to arrive. Pretty much. Um, Have you ever been to a dance hall in Jamaica? No. My brother has the funniest. He went to a dance hall in Jamaica and has one of the funniest stories I ever heard in my life, but I got to get him to tell it. I can't even tell it like how he tells it. I guarantee you it's the funniest story you ever heard in your life. Guarantee you. Um, well, I said I was going to scroll down. Here we go. I'm almost in real time. Def Rocker, we don't care where you came from. It was about how dope you were in different forms of hip hop. That's how I see it. That's how I see all of music and sports. I don't care where you from. Are you nice? I just want to see the best of the best. That's it. Show me the best. Show me what the best in the world looks like. I want to see it. I want to hear it. I want to see it. Black people didn't invent basketball. Dr. James Naismith, what was that, 1890 something, invented basketball. The NBA is what, 1946 or 48? The NBA started. Black people weren't even allowed to play in the NBA back then. Even in the 50s and 60s, Bill Russell couldn't even eat with the team. And he won a championship and couldn't eat with the team. And yet, look at black people's contribution to the NBA. The NBA as we know it today wouldn't even exist without black people. But we didn't invent it. But shit, we reinvented it. That's what Kaz says. Kaz always says hip hop didn't invent anything, it reinvented everything. And I love that statement from Grandmaster Caz because that's exactly what it was. Hip hop didn't really do anything new, but it just put a spin on it like we had never seen before. And the world was like, yes, whatever that is, I'll have some more, please. I don't know. I just saw an outlandish comment. I usually uh, we accept all comments on the Kenny Parker show, and we try to debate them. So I'm gonna read this comment, even though I don't even understand what you're talking about. But Freddie Jackson Jr. says it's the Jamaicans who came here trying to usurp our stuff and force themselves upon us. They even bogusly claim that they were the same people when none of us looked like Busta Rhymes. I don't even understand what you mean by that. People look like all kind of different people. Who is foundational Black American? Whoever he is, I don't look like him. So all foundational Black Americans look alike? You have to have the same look? Is that what we're talking about? How did they force themselves on us? Jamaicans are this much of a population. Even in Brooklyn, Jamaica has a stronghold in like 3 or 4 spots, like Flatbush, Miami, like Boston somewhere, right? Like 3 spots. How do you force yourself on somebody? I like it or I don't. I, Freddie Jackson Jr., I very much appreciate you coming on this channel with your opinion. Thank you for coming on the Kenny Parker show. I don't even understand what you mean by this. They tell Africans not to deal with us when they come, and now we're told not to deal with them, divide and conquer. Absolutely. Absolutely. Africans don't really rock with us neither, which is a shame. I really want to get off this subject, tell you the truth, but there's so many comments here that just need addressing to me. Tariq Nasheed, goofball. I'm not gonna call him a goofball. Created this FBA stuff. He used to be down with the creators of ADOS, American Descendants of Slaves. So how many women were assaulted by their slave masters and had light-skinned babies? There's a reason why FBAs are in all different shades. It's because of crimes against humanity inflicted towards the African. However, that baby is no longer down. That baby is now over there, still a slave, went to work every day, but that baby's now over there. Uh, it ain't where you're from, it's where you at. Shout out to the God. Hip hop did invent scratching, though. That is true. Hip hop invented a few things. Hip hop invented sampling. Flash to me was really the first sampler because I read Flash's book. It's a great read. And the way he describes DJing, how he revolutionized DJing, was that he was watching Herc, and what Herc would do was throw on a break or play a record, and he noticed that when the break came, everybody went crazy and started dancing, but the break was like 10 seconds, and then the singing would come back in, or more instruments would come back in. So it was like that 10 seconds, the breakers would go crazy, and then Herc would throw on another record. And Flash was like, if only this we can extend this break to be longer, the dancers would have a longer time and everybody in the party would have a longer time to go crazy. So he started getting two copies of the same record, throw on the break, and right when it was about to end, he threw on the beginning of the break again. So now this 10-second record is now 20 seconds. And then he would do it again. Say, wow, now it's 30 seconds. Then he realized I can do this all night. I can make one break last for 10 minutes if I want. That was him watching Herc and seeing something that he could improve on. So he was like the first human sampler. Taking one piece of a record and making it longer is straight hip hop from the DJ. And you're right, scratching is DJing. You are correct. Are you disputing the great Grandmaster Caz, Pablo? Black folk already had basketball leagues outside the NBA back then. Sure, we did. And the Harlem Globetrotters was popular too, but it wasn't the NBA though. Same way we had the Negro leagues, and the Negro League players every once in a while. I think they did an exhibition maybe once or twice because blacks and whites weren't even allowed to play baseball together, but um, and the black players were very good against the all white players. As a matter of fact, I was watching this documentary and they was talking about Jackie Robinson being the first, I think he was the first guy brought up to the majors from the Negro Leagues, and it was such a controversy. He got death threats and the whole thing. Shout out to Jackie Robinson. But other guys in the Negro League was saying he's not even nowhere near the best player. They picked a good player, but there's great players here. And the mentality was that Jackie Robinson had the right temperament to deal with being the first black guy in the major leagues. Not that he was the best, but he had the mindset. And I remember seeing something about Satchel Paige was so great that when he finally got brought up to the majors, he was 42 years old, I believe, something like that. This dude was already way past his prime. And he was still an all-star. At 42, he was still one of the best players in baseball. Imagine what Satchel Paige was like when he was 22, but he wasn't allowed to play. But I say all that to say, yeah, there were other leagues, but the Harlem Globetrotters used to give NBA teams a run for their money. Patrick McLean says, Kenny, you are not a foundational basketball player. I am not a foundational anything. April 7th, artwork. KP, you should find someone to write the screenplay for your book. That would be dope. Thought your book becoming a Broadway play, and instead of them singing, they keep the actual format of how the songs are performed. That would be great. I would love for my book to be a Broadway play. I think it would be dope. I think it would be dope. I'm biased, of course. KP Show family, can we all unite behind the Knicks repeating in 26, 27? That would be yes. It's gonna be really hard though, y'all. It's very hard to repeat. We haven't had a repeat champion in what, 8 years or is it 10 years? It's very, 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 very hard to win back-to-back championships. We're in overtime, y'all. This is the Kenny Parker Show. Gregory Nash says, I see black Americans who look like Buster. Oh, man. This is what I was talking about earlier, Patrick. Why Sylvia Robinson could have changed the game in hip hop by not being shisty and evil. She could have changed the music game. She had a chance to be a positive influence on the culture and could have taught young people how to maximize themselves. Absolutely. She could have broke the whole grip. But I think behind Sugar Hill was organized crime. I saw something about that there was some kind of organized crime behind that too. But absolutely, absolutely. That's a sad thing. Let's see. Wow, Jack Swagger, you said so wild. I'm just gonna not even read that. Oh man, Rochester. I went to college with people from Africa, and they are African American when scholarships are being offered. Black people did so much to make to make it good for other people to come here and have a chance at a better life. Our ancestors bled the streets red to make it good for everybody. And people come here and don't like us, but benefit from all of the work. This is funny, JT. Freddie Jackson Jr. Is that you, David? We are not disparaging anybody's comments on this channel, y'all. As funny as that is, everybody has the right to their own opinion, man. Everyone has the right to their own opinion. Um, and I respect all opinions, even if I don't agree. Yeah, Benny Doyle, that was really funny. Mike Rock says, we are not African, respectfully. We are indigenous to this land that is called America's North, Central, South. Yeah, but we were brought here. We are descendants of. We are not African. Technically, we were American, but we weren't brought, we didn't come here looking for a better way of life. We came here in shackles. And this very country that we are citizens of despise us. It's really tough, man. It's a very deep conversation. I mean, we would have to spend a whole hour on just one thing. And these conversations that many people have had, and um, there's no real answers. It's so much gray area. Yeah, Mark Love says, hi, Kenny. I think we should all stop feeding these hungry, insecure souls. Next topic. I agree, but I just keep seeing things that I just can't let go past. You're right, Mark Love. And we've had this conversation before, like 2 years ago, and I was done with it. But some things I just can't not see it. Hip hop has generated a lot of money in movies and fashion too. Hip hop fashion or street black American, whatever you call it, street fashion and language has been filtered into so much of mainstream America and capitalized off of. You can't even measure it. It's crazy. Uh, We're in the last moments of the show. Feel like going a little longer, like double OT, but we'll see. Silk Child, thank you. Says Kate, much love, KP. Love you, bro. We're here with you. But yeah, Buster said that shit. Oh man, that is not good, man. That is not good, bro. That is not good. I wouldn't call what Flash did on the turntable sampling. If it is, you'd have to include tape loops too, and Beatles were used those in the 60s. Yeah, I guess taking your own songs and editing them, like they would do disco versions of things. That's to me a little bit different. Extending your own song, taking a piece of your own song and moving it around to make your song longer, to me, that's more of an edit. But taking someone else's music, not your music, taking a piece of it and extending it for another purpose, not the purpose of that song, but for someone else to use it. We're taking this little piece, making it longer so rappers could rap on it and people could break on it. To me, is a little different. Like that's what I consider sampling. I mean, Flash was cutting the records back and forth, but the concept of taking a little piece and making it longer is what sampling was originally doing. I mean, it was also taking drum sounds and little things, but taking a break from break beat lose ultimate breaks and beats and making it longer, that concept is a Grandmaster Flash concept from watching Herc, according to his book. We got some chats that I think I missed. It's the Kenny Parker Show. We're right at the bottom. D8 says Sylvia Robinson proved devils come in all colors. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's where my mind is at. The devil appears not as you think he would look, all shapes and forms, but the actions are the same. The actions are what tells what the devil is, not how they look, not how they talk, the actions. I agree with that 100%. JT, thank you. Got to run this double OT, KP. Get this out of the system so we can get back to arguing about the top 5 rappers, best piano break horns, etc. I mean, we could get it out of our system. Yeah, I mean, there's a few minutes left. I might go a little longer. I mean, we can get, because it's something like you agree to disagree, you know? There's no real answer. Um, you know what I mean? There's no. DJ Cheese introduced scratching in the DJ World Supremacy Contest in '88. Whoa, Def Rocker. I believe that Grand Wizard Theodore, right, is the inventor of the scratch. Zigga, zigga, zigga from the Fantastic Five. That's in the '70s. Because they were scratching on Grandmaster Flash and the Wheels of Steel came out in '81. There was tons of scratching on that. Buffalo Gals had scratching on it. That's '82. Um, Rocket, Herbie Hancock had scratching. That's '84. Sucker MCs had scratching. That's '83. There's a lot of scratching going on before '88. Now, different kinds of scratching, maybe. Um, Philly Sheed said they picked Jackie because of his temperament, just like you said, because he wasn't going to fight back or cuss out the Caucasian folk. Josh Gibson, on the other hand, yeah, yeah, Jackie Robinson was the right person to break the barrier. Because if you had reacted the way a man should react to another man speaking to him like that, it wouldn't have worked. He was the right guy for the job. Shout out to Jackie Robinson for being courageous. Imagine getting threats like that and still performing every night. Who was the guy who had the home run record before in 1960? It was broken by Bobby, what's his name? Bobby Maris? Was it Hank Aaron had the record? Was it 60 home runs? No, wait, Maris had the record and Hank Aaron passed him or something like that. But I remember they were saying that when he was getting close, he was getting all kind of threats. Imagine coming up to the plate and people are telling you, man, if you hit a home run, we're going to end you. You know how courageous those people had to be back in those days, man, to still say, I don't care? Our grandparents were off the hook, man. for us to have what we have now. Could you imagine that? It's 10 o'clock, y'all. We're in double OT. We're gonna rock for a little while longer. Then I'm gonna jump off. Uh, D8, is it D8 or DB? I can't really see it. Sorry. Plus, John Brown died fighting against slavery. Yeah, a lot of people. I mean, that's a whole other subject, bro. Bookman from Good Times of Buster. Wow. The NBA would not beat the Globetrotters without FBA players. Salute, KP. Well, at that time, all of the FBA players were on the Globetrotters. Wilt Chamberlain was on the Globetrotters. Wilt Chamberlain was destroying NBA players when he was in high school. Henry Cedillo, Kenny, what are you and Chris mixed with? I gotta say, get the book, Henry Cedillo. I gotta say it. It's a whole story behind it. The Harlem Globetrotters were not a black team. They had black players. A white man owned the team, respectively. Well, then really, it's all white people then. I'm saying it was an all black team owned by a white man. Technically, they were not a black team. They were not a black owned team. Wasn't Sylvia Robinson a one-hit wonder? You know, I hate that term, one-hit wonder, Rosmel, but yes, she had a big record in like 73, right? Or something like that. And she learned the game and came back and jerked their children. Jack Swagger says, hurt people, hurt people. The mob was deep in the pockets of Sugar Hill. Yeah. Maybe they taught her. Um, Denise KP, you're right with Sugar Hill. It was organized crime. It was Mo Levy funding Sugar Hill. I think it was a Gambino's too. Sylvia Robinson took Flash took Sylvia Robinson to court fighting for his rights. If y'all ever get a chance to read Flash's book, you should read it. It's really, really insightful. Not all black people were brought here in shackles. Well, how did they come? Now here comes the all police. I'm sure there's a 0.00%. Are you talking about Moors and people that were supposedly been here before Christopher Columbus? Or are you talking about well-to-do black people that came here? What are we talking about? I'm talking about the slavery days. Music is what makes us feel good, not fight over who did what. I agree, Patrick Why, but sometimes history gets rewritten though, to have like the king of rock and roll be Elvis. And we know that's not true. And that's what some black people are fighting about. That the same way rock and roll was stolen from black people is the same way one day people are going to say hip hop was started with Eminem or something. And I guess they're very sensitive over that. It was started with Jamaicans or so, I don't know. And I guess they're sensitive over that, but I wish it wasn't like that, man. We need to have safe spaces where we can go and just have a good time without thinking about anything, politics and any of that stuff. I choose music and sports is my place to go. Let's see. Patrick McLean said, I was late. What did Buster say? Oh, Patrick, don't do it. JT says, gotta run. This double OT, KP. Get this out of the system so we can get back to all. Yeah, well, I saw that. Yeah, I'm a little behind. Um, Sylvia was Caribbean too. Wow. Flash calls his technique the merry-go-round. Yes. Super Up said, KRS said Colin Powell is black, but Libya he'll attack. Yeah. Chris is very critical of Clarence Thomas. He was on Clarence Thomas back in 1990. Now look at Clarence Thomas. Look at Clarence Thomas, man. Um, we're in double OT, y'all. I'm getting a last few. I'm going to jump off. Yeah, Mark Love, that was Hank Aaron getting threats. Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I couldn't even imagine somebody telling me, yo, next time you DJ, when you go to them turntables, something might happen to you. And you got to go up there anyway and rock a party. Could you imagine that? Looking over your shoulder? Imagine being Hank Aaron. And he still got the job done. Jackie Robinson flipped on Ali for not going to the service. Wow, I didn't know that. I hold Muhammad Ali to the highest standards. What an inspiration. The Negro League should have stayed in effect. It would be worth billions today. Look at all the black players in the major leagues over the decades who would have played in the Negro League. But they wouldn't have allowed it. You're talking like the 1930s, 20s, 30s, 40s. They wouldn't have allowed it, bro. They wouldn't have allowed it. You're right, if it theoretically, but you know what the way society was, that would have got ugly real quick. Keefe D will be found not guilty. I wish you know what? I wish we had time to talk about this Tupac trial that's coming up. There's a lot of evidence against Keefe D, Corey Flood. Out his own mouth. His defense is going to have to prove that everything he said, even to the police, to the feds, he was lying. We're in OT, y'all. KP, what's your opinion on people saying Jackie Robinson was the cause of the Negro League folding? I'm not sure of that whole story, so I don't want to comment on that. Um, Not sure. Keefe D is going nowhere. He's staying in jail for life. F him. To me, the question is not going to be whether going to jail. The question is going to be, will he implicate Diddy in it? They ain't got no real evidence on Keefe D. Yeah, they do. They found the car that they was looking for all these years was parked in his driveway, in his garage or whatever. They found the car. They got his testimony. You know, he was granted clemency or whatever in L.A. He confessed to this stuff being in that car to beat another case. He gave them the Tupac stuff, and then he got clemency. Not clemency is not the word, but I'm gonna use clemency. But then he went to Vegas and started talking. That's why he's in trouble. He should have whatever deal they made with you in LA doesn't apply to Vegas. Rod Justice said, I read a sample of Flash's book. I intend to finish it. Yeah, you should finish it, man. Um, how do I manage to fall behind um, in double overtime? Oh, man. Let's go to the Temple of Hip Hop. I'm going back. Me and Chris talked about me doing some stuff at the temple. When he gets back from Europe, that's on deck. Benny Doyle trying to get me beat up. Speaking of Chubby Checker, Kenny, speaking of Chubby Checker, how great was the twist? The twist was amazing, Benny Doyle. I'm not getting beat up. PBB says, Kenny, politics has invaded music and sports. Can you really avoid it? No. But it's worse than ever before. And I'm just thinking of the purity. I'm just thinking of whatever happens between the lines in regulation time. Everything outside of that, I want it to be outside of that at the moment. I mean, where else can you go to enjoy yourself in peace if not for music and sports? Where everybody has an equal chance. Whoever's good, come with it. I'm gonna jump down a little bit. Yeah, Keefe D made a deal for immunity in LA. And then he went to Vegas and kept talking. And he has a car. Henry Dill says, Kenny, ask your brother about the black indigenous people who were here thousands of years before slavery, and the light-skinned so-called Indian man, but the dark-skinned Indian that they claim is the same. Chris would love, that's a 2-hour KRS lecture. Benny Doyle, Kenny, what was the name of the storage facility Hannibal Lecter sent Clarice to? Yourself? He said, go to your, what is it, yourself? Know yourself? Is it know yourself in Baltimore? Which was an anagram? Know thyself or know yourself? That's a good one from Silence of the Lambs. That's a good one. I think it's know yourself or know thyself. Storage facility. That's a good one. Benny Doyle, you might have me. I know it's something like that. KP, have you ever heard of basement parties? Absolutely. Suge Knight will not testify. Well, he says he's not going to testify. Well, he might get subpoenaed. Um, John Lee says plenty of evidence on Keefe D. They found the gun and remaining bullets in his house, I believe. I don't know if they found the gun. I didn't hear that. That's possible. I know they found that car. That's crazy. His immunity won't work this time. He's done. He got on DJ Vlad talking about it. Keefe D never had immunity. He was mistaken. Now, as I understand it, he had immunity in LA. It wasn't national immunity. We're in OT. I'm jumping off in a second, y'all. Just want to get these last comments in. Keefe D said a lot on Vlad. He sure really did. He really, really did. The rest of them guys took it to the grave. Keefe D ain't very smart. I figured that out years ago. But he's saying that Puff gave him the money. Puff sent money that he never got. But he's saying that Pac and them beating up Orlando Anderson was the perfect excuse for them to go ahead and do what they was going to do anyway for the money. Guilt or arrogance, one of these or both is why KVD is going to prison. Yeah. Yeah. I hate how people try to associate Keefe D with hip hop because he killed the biggest rap star. There's nothing hip hop about Keefe D. He has no talent, couldn't rap or give. Yeah, but the street culture, especially around that time, started getting so intermixed with the hip hop culture that it became a blur. You know what I mean? Like if you look how many people worked at Death Row that weren't artists, but they were there. Keefe D is not hip hop at all, but he played a part. All those guys in the car that are gone now openly bragged about popping Tupac. This was the worst kept secret. Yeah, there was a big war in LA over that, supposedly, right? Um, but the police didn't have any evidence. They never had nothing. Those guys, nobody else in that car ever got charged. I'm at the very bottom, y'all. I'm getting the last comments in. We're in double OT, and I'm gonna jump off. Um, I'm just trying to get you guys' last comments in before we get off. This is the Kenny Parker Show. Mike Rock says most of the blacks who go on Vlad say too much, and black folk get mad at Vlad because of it. You get real comfortable, and he asks good, incriminating questions. And you know what else too? He kind of asks questions like he already knows the answer, like we already know the answer to the question. Like according to so and so, this happened like this, right? And then you'll be like, yeah, it happened just like that. And then you incriminate yourself. Um, KP, I think Reggie Wright was part of the Pac thing. Well, he was part of Suge's team. I think he was part of the Biggie situation. But who knows? Cops arrested Orlando for it, but they had no evidence at the time. Then he got off. Yeah. They had no evidence. They had nothing on nobody. That would have been an unsolved case. um, until Keefe D. Benny Dore says, Kenny, yourself, you nailed it. Yes. Thank you, Benny Dore. I knew I was close. Um, Kudos to the chat. Yeah, this is a good chat, man. We got a lot of stuff out of our system. I'd like to talk a little bit more. I know everybody's going to be talking about this trial. You know, I hate the subject of the day, you know, trying to get clicks, whatever stuff. But this is interesting, and I'm going to watch it and try to understand it as best I can. And we talk about it. 30 years it took. 30 years. That's crazy. But I hope Pop gets justice. And he put himself in situations. He put himself in some bad situations too, Pac. Add that to it. All right, I'm out of here. Let me make this smaller. Make sure I got all the chats. I think I got all the chats in, the super chats. I did. All right, y'all. This is Tuesday. God willing, we will all be here on Friday. And I'm gonna start working on some more interviews. I want to bring some more people in, so I gotta double back on some people that I need to bring on the channel. And I'm gonna start doing some more interviews. Uh, yeah, so that's it. God willing, I will see all of you guys on Friday. Well, we'll talk. Um, we can talk a little bit more about this whole thing with Keefe D and everything. All right, y'all. I'm gonna jump off, and I'll catch you guys Friday. Peace.